restoration more difficult.
And now comes another blast of bitter cold and the possibility of another storm this weekend. Also, find out why shoveling around your home could be a matter of life or death.
It could lead to carbon dioxide potentially building up inside the resident.
We'll explain why the storm wasn't classified as a blizzard.
In order to be considered a blizzard, there has to be some criteria.
And meet a musician who is translating climate change data into sounds.
Make it easy for people to get what the data is saying.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. The nation is slowly recovering from a winter storm that ranks among the most severe in years. The impact has especially been harsh in the south, where snow, ice, and bitter cold continue to grip the region. More than 500,000 homes and businesses are still without power. This morning, that's down from 800,000 yesterday and more than 1 million at the storm's peak. More than 20 deaths are now blamed on the storm. Airlines are also returning to regular schedules. So far today, 1,700 flights have been canceled. Yesterday, that number stood at 7,000. All eyes now turn to the bitter cold. More than 70 million people are under extreme cold warnings. That includes the Gulf Coast from Houston to Texas to Florida's Big Bend. Many northern states will see sub-zero wind chills overnight, and with that cold continuing into February, this could be the longest duration of cold in some places in several decades. And now we are watching the possibility of yet another winter storm. The National Weather Service says there could be a significant East Coast storm this weekend. There's still plenty of uncertainty on the track and strength of the surface low, which will determine the type of precipitation as well as how much falls. If that develops, it would come as a bitter punch for communities still reeling from last week's winter storm.
Some of the areas of our neighborhood, it looks like a tornado went through. But this is what ice does.
One such neighborhood in Middle Tennessee, where the weekend ice storm devastated trees there. More than 175,000 homes and businesses in Tennessee still don't have power. We have 2 reports on the efforts to restore power, starting with Karen Aguilar.
Monday, blistering cold envelops Nashville, the ice weighing down trees and power lines, causing outages for hundreds of thousands. In the Glencliff neighborhood, 65-year-old Darlene Hargis is in her car with a portable oxygen tank because they have no power. Dwayne Hargis is her husband.
My wife, who has to have electricity to breathe.
About 15 minutes away is a warming shelter at Nashville Fairgrounds. Robert Thompson, who lives on Elgin Street and Sandon, was able to get to it.
It was cold. I mean, I was freezing.
He's been without power since Saturday morning.
What's it like not being in your home while they fix it?
I hate it. I hate it. I want to go home.
Kelly Carr is at the same warming shelter. She had no power or food.
I've never experienced this before. I've always had.
She tells me she had to walk 2 miles from her home to catch a bus to get here.
And I called the non-emergency number. Nobody answered.
Carr hopes things will be better soon.
This is awful.
Nashville's mayor tells me the city is an active response, not recovery, so long-term resources are still being worked out.
These windy conditions we're seeing outside, mixed with the impacts from the ice storm, are going to make restoration more difficult.
Caroline Fountain with Duke Energy says their priority is to restore power, but it has to be safe to do so. The main challenge they're facing is the wind and the cold, as everything that's already frozen will stay frozen.
The combination of the ice plus the wind makes it a very dangerous situation for our crews, and that's why safety is our #1 priority. You know, when you think of the ice and the ice on trees and on limbs, on bamboo, other vegetation, and especially now with the wind, that's just going to be bringing them down that much easier. Making sure that our crews are safe when they're going out and while they're restoring power.
She says the highest number of power outages they've seen are in Henderson County. The last couple of days, there has been no estimated time of restoration because it's continued to depend on when it's safe for crews to respond.
Most everyone impacted by the storm faces some roads that are clear and others that still need work. In most cities, the primary roads look great, but it's those side streets that plows may not have reached yet. The bitter cold turned the snow and sleet into rock-solid ice. And speaking of ice, this is what some roads in Abilene, Texas look like. No snow, just a solid thick sheet of ice beneath the tires. We have 3 reports on how different cities are handling the snow removal, starting in Providence, Rhode Island.
Roughly 12 to 16 inches of snow accumulated on the ground here in Fall River. It's trapped in cars on private and main roadways, created nightmare-like driving conditions with vehicles slipping and sliding, especially when turning. Some businesses are open, but most are closed. It's a storm unlike anything we've seen in the past several years. And although it's a fluffier snow, those we spoke to say shoveling it still takes a toll on your body. Others say they're just happy to have snow on the ground once again.
Honestly, it's probably just the amount of snow that's compact. Cause at least it's not slush. That makes it a lot heavier. But it's the amount that there is, and it just takes hours and hours.
I actually ordered this because it's been a long time since we had a good storm like this, and I'm excited to have all of this.
The day started in Marion Village in a first ever Level 3 snow emergency for Franklin County.
And here is what happened. Wow, did I get stuck in my back alley?
I managed to get stuck and shovel myself out from my back alley. Others took the day digging out neighbors' Park Street side.
So this isn't your car that you're digging out right now?
The neighbors, helping them out.
And mentally preparing for more manual labor ahead.
It's just kind of uncover and see what happens. I mean, plows will come through at some point and rebury.
We've been watching all the snow plows on TV and trying to figure out what the tracks are and who's coming next, but there's nobody out here yet.
3 to 5 inches of snow have fallen, and now it's the ice underneath that has officials most concerned. Roads that look fine aren't. Bridges, overpasses, side streets freezing first. And black ice nearly impossible to spot until it's already too late. Highways are being treated, but officials say all it takes is one slide to bring traffic to a standstill. Crews have been working around the clock, and it shows on the main roads. It's the ones you don't think about, the back roads, the side streets, that are causing the most concern. Officials say progress is being made, and they're grateful for it. But the message tonight hasn't changed.
You don't have to get out and go to work, stay at home.
All the snow around your home could expose your family to a dangerous risk. Blocked furnace vents could lead to carbon monoxide poisoning. Steve Levine has what you need to know to stay safe.
It's not just driveways and sidewalks that need to be cleared from all the snow. So do vents for high-efficiency furnaces that are on the outside of homes because of potential carbon monoxide poisoning.
When those vents are covered up, it prevents that carbon monoxide from being exhausted from the home, and that could lead to carbon monoxide potentially building up inside the residence.
Upper Arlington firefighters Sunday responding to 2 cases of carbon monoxide within hours. No one became ill or needed to be taken to the hospital during those 2 calls.
Vents were covered with snow, and carbon monoxide is building up in the house, so the homeowners had carbon monoxide alarms.
Firefighters reminding everyone to have smoke detectors and also carbon monoxide alarms.
And if you have a gas-fired appliance, so you have furnace, water heater, if you're using a fireplace in the house.
Firefighters also asking everyone to clear snow off utility and appliance equipment outside the home, including gas meters, dryer vents, and water heater exhausts. Snow cleanup, 73-year-old Lowell says, is all part of winter.
And this happens, what, once, twice a year? Okay, I'll put up with it.
And you may not like dealing with the snow and ice, but pandas certainly do. The National Zoo in Washington, D.C. posted this video on Instagram of its pandas Bao Li and Qing Bao enjoying a snow day by climbing and tumbling and playing with their toys outside. The zoo says with all its animals during the cold weather, both pandas had access to their indoor areas to stay warm, though it looks like they were having too much fun outside. For all the latest weather news and video, be sure to follow us on social media. We're on all of your favorite platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll explain why, despite all the snow and freezing temperatures, this latest winter storm technically was not a blizzard. And we'll hear from a musician who is turning climate change data into sounds.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. The big snowstorm has made its way off to the east this morning, so that has moved out. The sun is making an appearance. Here we are 7 o'clock in the morning. That sun's not going to last, though. It's cold with temps in the single numbers and teens, and afternoon highs will probably stay in the teens to near 20. Notice more clouds. There's the chance for an afternoon snow shower. Wednesday will feature sun and clouds once again. It's cold early in the day. Look for afternoon highs in the upper teens to near 20.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Arctic blast is going to be on the menu all week long. We're going to see a brief front go through, bringing a few snow showers to the region, but very little and not much to accumulate. It's going to be temperatures that are absolutely brutal over the next several days. Highs will get stuck in the teens to 20s, lows in the low single digits or even the negatives at times. And that'll be the case all the way through Wednesday. No sign of thawing out until next week.
Hi, meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. A chilly afternoon for parts of the southeast with temperatures in the 30s and 40s from the Carolinas to the northern Gulf Coast and into the 50s across central Florida with the 60s for most of South Florida too. High pressure will remain in control here through the middle of this week. This will leave our sky clear for most of the southeast. Keep temperatures chilly as we head into Wednesday morning. Expect another cold start to the day with temperatures in the 20s and 30s from the Carolinas to the Gulf Coast.
I'm meteorologist Justin Chambers at Fox 45 here in Baltimore, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
While the winter storm made life miserable for many people, it was not a blizzard technically. Dayton, Ohio meteorologist Natalie Walters explains why.
Even though the storm brought crippling conditions across a good portion of the U.S., it was not a blizzard. In order to be considered a blizzard, there has to be some criteria, one of which is wind gusts have to be 35 miles per hour or greater. Visibility also has to be a quarter of a mile or less, but these conditions have to persist for at least 3 hours in order to be considered a blizzard. So although many places saw a foot of snow or even more, it was not considered a blizzard because the winds just weren't strong enough.
In many places, it may appear snow is the only thing covering the ground, but below that layer of snow is often a layer of ice. Meteorologist Caden Dickens takes us below the surface to find the danger we can't see.
I would say it's almost half an inch there, and that is what's on the roads. So taking this rain gauge to compare the roadways, we're looking at a quarter to half an inch of ice across all roads. Then it has sleet, and then it has some snow on top of it, accumulating to about 3 inches in at least the Abilene area. You have trucks and cars driving on these roadways, and what's happened is those 3 inches are getting packed down even thicker. So on top of this ice already that was on my sidewalk was really thick, compact sleet that was almost like ice. It's freezing overnight. We are not probably going to see any of these accumulations go anywhere until very late this week, potentially this weekend, unless our city or our counties come and clear the roads. Anything that melts during the afternoon is going to absolutely refreeze overnight due to temperatures being below freezing until this weekend.
And the deep freeze is on. More than half of the country is now snow covered. Combine that with the bitter cold Arctic air. That means much of the country will be quite cold the rest of the week. As Sharon Ray explains, the snow impacts temperatures through something called the albedo effect.
That makes a big difference on temperature because the snow, of course, is reflecting sunlight. Let's take a look at that. In fact, on a day when we do not have snow, let's say that there's no snow on the ground, we have the sun, the solar radiation from the sun coming and hitting the ground. It's being absorbed by the ground and actually warming the surface air. Normally, we don't see a lot of that reflecting off of grass and darker surfaces. So on average, that solar radiation is being absorbed, and only about 30% of that radiation is being sent back off into space by being reflected. However, when we have snow on the ground, it's a whole different story. In fact, that solar radiation comes in, but it is reflected off of that snow surface because fresh snow has a high albedo, meaning a high reflection rate here, and 80 to 90% of that radiation is sent back into space. And what does that do? Well, that can certainly make it feel colder out there. Temperatures are actually colder because of that. So snow does have a high albedo. It does cause temperatures to be colder. Now, the fresher the snow, the higher the albedo. As it's older, it starts to lower.
Cold temperatures combined with strenuous work can lead to major health risks. That's what happens every year after snowstorms when people begin shoveling to clear the snow. Liz Bonus looks at the dangers and ways you can protect yourself.
You're out of breath a little bit.
Yes, I am.
I found that out with Keisha today, digging her car out. We were both feeling it.
I was going to do my morning workout, but this is part of it. So this is a good start for me this morning.
Exactly the point, Nicole Mullins told me.
I worry most about people overworking themselves.
Nicole is a cardiovascular surgery nurse practitioner at Ohio's Christ Hospital. Sadly, their team busy often after a snowstorm, when as many as 100 people die each year, according to the National Safety Council, in shoveling-related injuries and heart events. Not only does this activity stress the heart, but add the bone-chilling temperatures, and Nicole says,
the lungs are working harder, the heart's working harder, your blood pressure's up. You are really putting your body through it when you're out here.
The cold heart facts, according to the American Heart Association, death risk goes up about 0.5% for every 2-degree temperature drop, and the warning signs something is wrong.
A lot of chest pain, difficulty breathing, lightheadedness, a lot of excessive sweating.
Now, one note, much of good heart health is what's called your recovery rate, if your heart rate returns to normal quickly. So if you notice all your symptoms go away when you sit down and you kind of relax, you're good. But if not, it is suggested you seek medical attention.
And switching gears, climate science is often communicated through charts and graphs, but data does not have to be seen to be understood. Emily Gracie sat down with a musician who is translating climate change data into sound and in the process creating a new form of climate communication.
So the best way for me was just to compose something with certain known characteristics, and that would tell me what to listen for in the corpus of other music. So once I was using math to analyze music, it was a very short jump to thinking of math and numbers in terms of music, taking the math and taking the numbers and making music out of that. And that's often referred to as algorithmic music. So I started composing algorithmic music.
Can you explain? I think most people don't even know what that term is.
Yeah,
Sonification.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. It is, as you mentioned earlier, a new term of art. So it just means that you're going to take some data and you're going to translate it into sound that falls within the human hearing range.
I'm curious about the ability for people to absorb data in that format, because I don't know that I would listen to something and say, those are rising temperatures.
That's a great question, because it's one of the ways that I believe I'm distinguishing my work now. And I can't speak for people who have sight vision deficits. I don't know how valuable that can be for them. But what I'm trying to do is to make it easy for people to get what the data is saying. Staying true to the data integrity, and yet at the same time, making it a listenable experience That's the real challenge, because just taking the numbers and turning them into notes, it can be interesting for a few seconds, but it really isn't anything that's gonna just keep you grooving to the music for a little while. And that is going deeper into the data. It's not gonna hold your attention.
And to hear more of Harlan's climate sonifications, you'll want to listen to this week's episode of our podcast. We will dig deeper into connections between data science and music. You can find Off the Radar on any podcast platform. And time now for a short break, but first we take in the views of Snoqualmie Pass outside Seattle, Washington.
Well, a very good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck. Michael, frigid across the Midwest for the day today, but at least we're getting into the teens and some of the upper parts of the Midwest. Got some light snow trying to drift its way down over the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley today. Still some lake effect snow tomorrow, but dry for most of us on Wednesday, and got a little clipper that's trying to slide down across the Central Plains heading into your Thursday, and a little lake effect across the Great Lakes.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Looked forecast across the region and a bitterly cold start. We're talking teens for a majority from Shreveport to Oklahoma City, Amarillo, Midland in the teens as well. Low 20s across much of Texas. And then through the day, a little milder. We will climb above freezing in Oklahoma City around 35. Most of the region in the 40s and low 50s, 61 down in Brownsville. And then a cold night, but not as cold. Temperatures dropping into the 20s and 30s for many teens, though, in Oklahoma City.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Monday night to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, we are very much balancing out all of the activity back east because it's still so very quiet here from Washington back into the Four Corners region. Highs back into the 70s. Doesn't that sound like a nice break in Phoenix today? Same goes for San Diego and Los Angeles. But finally, a big wet weather system pushing toward the northwest. Dense fog still a problem in the Sacramento Valley. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Light pillars appeared in the sky over the Texas Panhandle this week. As meteorologist Corbin Vogus explains, they only appear when conditions are just right.
You can see these are actually what we call light pillars. It happens only a few times a year this far south because you need really cold temperatures in order for it to occur. Here's a picture from Amarillo, this one from Wren Malone. You can see again some more of those pillars there. This was kind of in that southeast direction. We had a few clouds early this morning, but mostly you need calm and quiet conditions. And again, the big one is very cold temperatures. In fact, the temperature has to be at least 10 degrees Fahrenheit or colder. And we were down into the single digits this morning, so that's where we fell within that threshold. But what happens when you get that cold is the ice crystals that do form, they're hexagonal in shape and they're pretty flat and they almost act like a mirror. So when you get these light sources like your street lights, the headlights of a vehicle, or just the lamp outside there on the patio, those ice crystals will reflect that light, and that's how you get that big column towering tall in the sky, again also called a pillar.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Make it a great day. I'll see you right back here tomorrow.